Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Wine, what's the deal? Welcome to the No Pick Show. I'm your host, chedda-chaz. I'm with my dog, Just A. Davis, in the building. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. This is the In Your League edition. So we're going to be talking about everybody. This is the first part of a series that we're doing. That was Elvin's idea. We're going to be breaking down each team in the NBA and potential trades that they could do, especially in the Western Conference, to bolster their team, because the West really looking like a two-team race right now, with the Pelicans and Timberwolves and some of the other teams being left in the dust. Al, how you doing, big dog?
What's good, big dog? I'm cool and just getting through the weekend, bro. Trying to push through this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Get my week started right. And it's been interesting. We got Game 7 actively going on right now.
Cleveland. Worst situation ever, right?
Is what? What you think? What's the worst situation?
This is a 3 p.m. game. This is a 3 p.m. on ABC on ESPN game. This is not no goddamn. I'm on Eastern time. This is not no goddamn Eastern
9 o'clock game. 9 o'clock game.
No.
Yeah. Last I checked, Denver, not fucking Denver. Cleveland beating it. Yeah. Cleveland beating their ass right now.
Yeah, Cleveland up by 18 right now in the second quarter, heading into halftime. They got a couple minutes left. Detroit already showed the fortitude that they can mount a comeback. Cleveland already showed the ability to choke. Who are you pulling for in this series? Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little indifferent because I don't fuck with Trajan.
That's why I'm not indifferent. I want Cleveland to win.
You want Cleveland to win?
I want Cleveland to win.
I'm a fan of Donovan Mitchell, but I fucks with Detroit. I fuck with people from Detroit. I just like my dog Detroit Warren being the show. Now we got Troy Weaver. I would love to see the team that he constructed go into the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm a little conflicted, bro. It is tough, but it's been an entertaining series. Shout out to Sko in the building. What's happening with your big dog?
What's good? I ain't gonna lie. Anybody who left our team, like, while I want them to do well, ultimately I want you to fail. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately I want you to fail. If you ain't with us or you're against us. So like all that shit they be talking about Detroit. Personally, I think Detroit got a lot of questions coming up that they gonna have to address. So it ain't nothing personal about Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, I would love to see them lose in the second round to, you know what I mean, to Cleveland, and then have to answer these Durant questions, have to see where they gonna get this offense from. People talking about they think about you be seeing in the media they targeting Trey Murphy and stuff like
marketing.
Laurie. So all of the same people that we were connected to, that Trajan was connected to when he was here. You heard about us getting Laurie for forever. Ain't nothing materialized.
Shout out to my dog Nando in the building. Yeah, Nando. Look, and we just gonna come out the game speaking this. We're not gonna spend too much time on it. I think we both got coach fatigue. I think we all got coach fatigue. Look, I'll say this: they did a good job of getting the leaks and the snitches and the rats out the building. You know what I'm saying? They call the pest control, and so not much is getting out. Truthfully, I don't even know how much stock to put into this. Not because I doubt Mark Stein, just because I know how good of a job they've done not leaking information. So the latest and the greatest, and we're just gonna speak on this for a second here. Mark Stein reports, and this is with from Jake Fisher, who initially reported the interest in November, and then myself, and then the Johnny come latelys. It said a widely presumed explanation circulating at the Chicago Draft Combine this week. New Orleans has held a long-standing affinity for former Magic coach Jamal Mosley, and is believed to be taking as much time as possible to allow for Mosley to become a full-fledged prime candidate for the post after his recent dismissal in Orlando. That don't make a ton of sense. Nah. What's your initial thoughts on that?
When I read it, I just thought that, like, okay, they giving Mosley time to decompress for the season so they can actually have a conversation. Not
my dog Mike.
They probably, you know what I mean? I feel like there's obviously mutual interest.
Yes.
And if it's not saying that they truly don't want to hire Mosley, but again, man, they probably just, you don't have no rush to do nothing. So you do your due diligence. Is you know what I mean? The season is technically still going on right now. I think
it's fascinating. I think the shift in narrative is fascinating, right? Because I do think on one end people were upset that at the pace at which Joe was hired and then Troy was hired. Well, shout out to Michael Morgan, shout out to Benny in the building. And now people are saying, well, now you're taking too long to do your due diligence and vet these guys, and whatever the case may be. We've heard conflicting things as to whether Mosley had interviewed or not already at this juncture. There's just so many things. I think one of the things people are going to really have to come to grips with is that there isn't any tangible, solid, strong information coming from inside the building. That building has really been sewn up tight. They're running a tight ship around this bitch, and you just gotta accept it.
Nando.
Shout out to my dog Nando. He said, Nando, they really just letting Rondo finish up the AAU stuff. Whoa, what up, 504? What up, Shive Entertainment?
That's what I think.
That's a good question as well, because they got some fans of Rondo that been putting out some good information. People who follow him on that AAU circuit, and they've been putting out a couple things saying they've been seeing some hints thrown. Could be a possibility. My feeling is this: until it's not Rondo, until they come out and say it's not Rondo, my inclination and my preference is that it's Rondo. What are your thoughts, brother?
Same. I think even Gail speaking out about it, saying they're working real hard trying to get it done. We want to get something done soon. I think that's just kind of where they at. It's like, look, we want to get something done. We dotting our I's, want to cross our T's, just due diligence is all. But again, this team, the only unless I guess they actually hire Mosley, right? Nobody else don't know nothing, because just as much interest as they had in Mosley was just the amount of interest they had in Darvin Ham, according to the sources and stuff. And you don't really hear that as much either. So I would just say, regarding like the reports and stuff coming out, it's just kind of like you heard to compare it to what other teams were doing when Billy Donovan first got hired. You heard him heavily connected to the Orlando gig, and then that kind of went away.
Tibbs as well. Even heard some rumors of Billy being connected to the Pelicans because of the relationship with Troy Weaver.
Yes, and then none of that manifested. Nothing
materialized.
Nothing right now again, man. I think they knew who they wanted, which is why I personally think they interviewed Rondo first. Like, you knew what you had in Borrego. I think Rondo was one of the first people that probably got the interview. And sometimes I think it's the first one you call in is the one that you typically want. You just got to make sure, again, if you go, and this is the last that I'll say about it, but if you track this going back to when the Lakers hired JJ, they brought JJ in, they hired JJ, and then they interviewed JJ, and then from there it was a bunch that took place.
Yeah,
could be it was a bunch that took place.
What's homie from UConn?
Dan Hurley.
Borrego, JJ Redick.
That had the job, right? Like they were talking about numbers with Hurley out of UConn, and then it was like all this time we knew it was JJ's job and blah blah blah. So I just think that's the way it go, bro.
One thing I heard is that everybody wrong. That's the most I was told, that everybody wrong. And now this was a couple weeks ago, but also they got a couple new names that just been let go before we pivot on to other teams in the West. Jerry Stackhouse was just let go from the Warriors. Terry Stotts as well was just let go. So
Terry Stotts just put out that he was considering he'd be interested in going back to Portland.
Right. So, and look, if he interested in going back to Portland, Tiago Splitter is available. I'm just talking about building out a staff, not necessarily for head coaching consideration. But if you are going to go with a first-time head coach, which they interviewed many thus far that we know of, you're going to need a veteran head coach to put next to him on the staff. Everybody loves Terry Stotts and what he was able to do in Portland. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think Stackhouse connection there, Joe played a little ball with Stackhouse. The thing I like, and we can pivot on this note, they casting a wide net.
Yes.
Casting a wide net, and nobody just hiring their partners off GP. And that was the what was being insinuated. Not that it was ever really tangible, but that was what was being insinuated.
lastly, my last point about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy to move on. But like,
Please.
not only are they casting the wide net, the longer you wait, the more names become available for you, like for your staff, right? Like once you wait and Tiago doesn't get that job, now that becomes a possibility. Like once you figure out what's happening with Steve Kerr, now Terry Stotts maybe does become available. And maybe,
I didn't think Stackhouse was going to be available, so that changes a little bit for me as far as like staff.
So now you sitting back and you like, well, shit, I'm glad we didn't do something just yet. Like we got more names available that we might have initially didn't think would be available.
Speaking of names available, brother, you came up with this great idea. We might as well just get it popping. Let's get this trade machine popping. This is my favorite part of basketball coverage. I'm the trade machine guy. So
thanks.
Can you please break down some of the teams you will be targeting and the teams we'll be discussing in this first segment of the series?
So my initial thoughts of how I wanted to break it down was like top. I wanted to go through the draft initially, right? Like just first 5 teams of the draft, and then we worked through that, right? But the issue was when I went to actually looking through, and we could use some of these teams for examples, right? Like you see Washington possibly shopping the number 1 pick. Not saying that we gonna trade for the number 1 pick or nothing like that.
I don't believe it, but go ahead, my bad.
I don't believe it either. I don't believe it at all. But if Utah about to give you a king's ransom, shit, maybe you know what I mean? If you got AJ and Peterson, like what if Peterson your best player? Like what if you got him ranked and you could pull Ace out of that deal too, right? If somehow you could make that happen or you get another first or two, it might be open to trading back if you know you can still get who you want. But I was just like messing around with the trade machine and I'm like, yo, Washington really don't have much. Like, unless you think they're going to do something where they're willing to give up on their young players, right? Like, if they take a wing, the only person I'm targeting on that team is Trey Johnson or somebody who seems like.
I think there's a world where Trey Johnson is traded. I really do.
Exactly my point. So, like, I'm looking at their team and I'm like, that's the only real player we could target, right? Utah went to Utah next and was like, the only real player we could target for Utah is Kessler. I even
looked at a sign and trade situation, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going through that, and then so it was kind of getting not complicated, but I was just like, man, that shit kind of boring. So
I get you, but there are some people that could fill certain voids in a. I hate for the lack of a better term, like in I'll just say the excitement factor won't be there. I'll say yes. Because I like guys like Filipowski. I like some of those like I don't want to say lesser known guys, but those underestimated type players. But one team, like if we just going through the tankathon, for example, once you get to Memphis, and Memphis is street, and the conversation can start there because there's plenty of people.
And that's literally where I was. That's where I was at. So the teams that I kind of want to do today is I want to do the next 3 teams. So the Grizzlies, we could do the Bulls, we could do the Clips, and with everything going on with Minnesota, I definitely want to discuss Minnesota because Minnesota and this is what happens in the playoffs. If you follow the playoffs, when you lose, things just. Everything comes out now. Like all of us, Ant fought back to like Ant wasn't even really supposed to play. Fought back, played admirably. Y'all got 2 games, but then it's kind of like now you're hearing about the moodiness. It's like, what the fuck y'all mean? The moodiness.
That's a weird term to keep for them to keep.
You know what? Let's start with Minnesota, bro. Let's start with Minnesota.
Let's start with Minnesota. And I look, I happen to have this trade queued up. It pains me to trade this person because I'm not a GM, I'm not a coach. I'm just a Pelicans critic. But this is something, when we talk about lottery teams, this almost 2 birds with 1 stone. I had this queued up. Well, tell me what you think about this potentially.
I saw you posted it earlier, and I actually kind of like it because what it does is because I think Minnesota needs a point guard, right? unless they go and get like a Kyrie Irving or something like that, which I'm not quite sure Dallas is going to be like ready to move just yet.
Moving for Kyrie.
Yeah, I think that actually helps, and you still have some pieces to where if you want to go get another star, like you can see about moving Rudy, and you can see about like AO's gonna come off the books and stuff like that. Like they have some other avenues of some salary they could put together. But I actually like this, and especially I like us getting Sabonis.
And so for the listeners, the trade is DeJounte Murray to the Timberwolves, Domantas Sabonis to the Pelicans, and Julius Randle and Jordan Hawkins to the Kings. The Timberwolves do it because kindly it's over. Like it's over for kindly. In a tangible play on the court.
Yeah,
it's over. Right. Ayo's going to be a free agent. He had some moments, but not really sure you want to bring him back. Another at his price point, another guy who was injured, so we didn't get to see the best of him once that injury occurred. The reason the Pelicans do it because this going on Joe Dumars' word, and that's why I also posed, is defensive rebounding more important than rim protection? Because despite what people think about Domantas Sabonis' defense, he's a masterful rebounder.
Yes.
And coming off a down season, he still had a pretty solid season when he played. So the Pelicans get a rebounder, starting power forward / starting center, whatever you want to do. The combinations can vary depending on what you do with Eve or at the 5. The Kings get Julius Randle and Jordan Hawkins, and this is why the Kings do this. The Kings are in debt. Right? The Kings' money is all fucked up, right? The Kings are pretty much a tax team with a non-tax roster and about 12 roster spots. And that's including Killian Hayes' option. Of course, they got some avenues that DeMar DeRozan, I think only $10 million in his contract is guaranteed. But their total salary is already $213 million. I believe the luxury tax is only $200,000. Only $200 million. So, and you got to sign your lottery pick. So that's about to be about another $8 million, I'm sure. So, and shout out to Louisiana girl. She said Troy isn't really a fan of Sabonis. He was part of the front office when they traded him to Indiana. He wasn't a fan of his playing style. Hey, I can see that as well. I can see that. If I'm not mistaken, Joe Dumars was in Sacramento when they got Sabonis. I could be mistaken. Sabonis has come a long way since he was traded for Serge Ibaka in Toronto. So maybe things have changed. Maybe things have shifted. I don't know. Hopefully they have, because he's probably one of the best bigs on the market. But it would allow Sacramento to create a little bit of breathing room. Of course, Jordan Hawkins comes off the books the following year, or you can
do a similar deal like this and just instead of Sabonis, it'd be Levine. It still works the same way technically.
Yeah, it would work the same way. The only thing with the Pelicans, shout out to my dog X in the building. What up with your X? He still got that Ross picture. Shout out to Ross. The only thing with the Pelicans is that Levine is he at 49 million? 48.9. So if you're the Pelicans, you lose some of that luxury tax room. And I think the bigs, I think you could get cheaper shooters on this market, or via two-way or what have you, second round or whatever, versus getting a premier defensive rebounding big like Sabonis and a guy who could put the ball in the hoop. And you would lose another $4 million, if I'm not mistaken. Now I gotta look again to see if Sabonis has any trade kickers or something like that, because he would need to waive that shit. And so what did you want to discuss as far as Memphis is concerned?
So obviously we could start with Memphis, because I automatically off the top, I'm still I personally still want Ja and Rondo to be the combination that we bring in to, to kind of like jumpstart I don't want to call it a rebuild, but like I kind of want to jumpstart what they got going on. They like to find an avenue to get Mitchell Robinson or Rob Williams. They like to trade for Duren. That shit gonna be available, I tell you that.
I think they might need to leave that well alone. I ain't gonna like I've heard from people in Detroit that Duren is dealing with an injury, but what up with your trade? What up with your alternate? I also think if you're looking at distressed assets, you might not even have to trade a first to get Sabonis, to be honest. And also, and Robert Williams, I like Robert Williams a lot, but he always hurt. Mitchell Robinson probably gonna be around
off the bench.
If you told me he was gonna be healthy, he could start.
Yeah,
like Time Lord, when he healthy, he a dog.
Yeah, he did solid in the playoffs against
he was solid
when he was available.
Mitchell Robinson, another guy. The injuries just the injuries just always there, bro. It's crazy. But when healthy, ain't many better defensive bigs on the real.
Hypothetically, but let's shift gears real quick before we talk about Memphis. If they were to say Jalen Duren is available, right? Duren is available. What kind of deal you think it would take to get Jalen Duren? One, you got to sign him. You got to sign him to the money.
I don't think you would have to give him the full max.
I can't give you the full max.
Nah, you looking at a Jared Allen type contract. If it's me, and that's generous, like 30 plus. Because I gotta respect you as an all defense guy, potentially all NBA All Star. I gotta respect your mind. But after this postseason, I can't do it like that, big dog.
Let me ask you this, because part of my thinking is we're in a position where you more so need to worry about the regular season right now. You know,
if you're the Pelicans, Duren at least gonna help you.
Yeah, Duren in the regular season be 20-10 type guy. You know what I mean? Bring him in. You'll have a physical presence at least that I have a high motor throughout the regular season, and then we could deal with we'll deal with the playoff. You just hope to improve and stuff like that.
Let me ask you this before you continue. Well, no, go ahead, because I don't want to block your train of thought.
No, you good. I'm just thinking about what kind of deal hypothetically if they were to say Duren is available, what would you have to do to get Duren? Because I'm just not sure what we have, because again, Duren possibly about to be an all NBA player at like 22, 23 years old. And again, this year could be the outlier year.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
MVP candidate.
Here's the thing, and shout out to everybody in the building. Take a moment, please, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, also hit the bell notification. Be sure to subscribe to PELS and the Blender also. We appreciate all y'all support. To me, honestly, the Pelicans don't have a ton of young blue chip players, bro. Honestly, I really think they only have like two, and that being I'm talking about blue chip as far as undeniable blue chips, and that would be Trey, and Trey about to be 26, and Fears. Now, with Trey is I'm 26, but I'm on a good contract, and y'all ready to win now. It makes sense because you see what Duncan Robinson was able to do there. With Fears, I don't need a point guard. So the thing with Duren is, I think Queen got to be in this deal somehow. I'd imagine
so,
because. If it's Duren and Queen and Fizz, what I'm gonna do with that, really?
Oof.
So, but if it's Zion, Queen, and Duren, it's what I'm gonna do with that? So it gotta be a situation where, shout out to Nando. I did see Trey at the game with Halliburton at the WNBA game, I believe. Yeah, so it's what I'm gonna do with that to a degree. If Queens, to me, it starts with what I got to look at Duren's contract.
I don't think you have a fair. Not a fair. I don't know what kind of package you could, because at the end of the day, what I come down to, most of the deals I see is either you moving in order of likely to be moved first is Herb first, right?
Yeah,
and then DeJounte next, right? And then Poole is one of those. I don't know if you're gonna really find a deal for Poole, but if you're trying to bring in a Z or something like that, I don't think they will move Queen. I personally don't it'd have to be for something phenomenal for them to move Queen, and I don't think they get off Queen that early. But it's just kind of I don't see, would they move Trey? I bet he would. You can have Herb and Eve.
Yeah, if the deal is Herb and Eve, and that's the crazy thing. When you look at how tough it is for them to score right now, it's kind of brutal. And they got too many defense first guys.
Trajan wants some of the guys he drafted. Like we all
can
know
have Herb,
that.
partner.
You can have Herb and Eve. Like I'll do Herb.
He ain't draft Eve. He ain't draft Eve, but
I'm just saying.
If that's the deal, Herb and Eve for Duren, I would do that.
Yeah, like Herb and Eve for Duren, and then you decide to extend Duren. I think that that opens up a lot, in my opinion. If that's something you can have, I throw a future first in on that.
Because the thing with Trey versus the thing with Duren is, while Trey isn't an all-star, this is Duren's first consistent year. So this could totally be an outlier. Yeah, and he could be awful moving forward.
The playoffs look more like what Duren has looked.
Yeah, the playoffs are kind of more on par with he's looked like throughout his career. Now again, injuries kind of have brought him back down to earth play style, because he's not a very tall guy. But he still had an incredible season. Whereas Trey checks a lot of boxes for you if you're the Pelicans. So I would imagine there's a hesitancy to trade Trey versus Herb. If you do this deal before the new league year starts, if it's even possible, right? Because I don't think you're doing a sign and trade with because it would hard cap you, if I'm not mistaken. If you do this deal prior to the new league year start, I think if it's possible, then Duren's making like $6 million.
Yeah,
you could probably do something like Duren for Herb. And matter of fact, I'll pull up the trade machine. Let's just do this hypothetically.
Again, while you doing that, bro, I don't think I see Diane posting. I'm Diane posting Trey is gone. I don't believe Trey gone by no stretch of the imagination. This kind of what Trey do in every offseason, to be honest.
He's always he's your most sought after person.
Yeah, people always talking about trading for Trey, and not only that, Trey always in the off season. He's with a lot of other players. He's probably the most outgoing Pelicans player that we have.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like I'm not overly worried about whether Trey's getting traded or nothing like that, to be honest. So I'm not overly concerned. My thing is with Trey. My question about Trey that I'm starting to have is similar to the question that I started to have with Brandon. The only difference is so like my questions with Brandon was right before Brandon started to like I guess you could say peak and then kind of plateau. I thought he plateaued like right after that Sun series. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of like some of the best versions of Brandon, like peak value that you could have got for Brandon. I think Trey, while I think Trey is going to get a little better, I think he's in a similar situation from a value perspective. The only thing about Trey is you could lead Brandon would not shoot threes. Trey at bare minimum is going to shoot threes and shoot them relatively well. So like you don't have to be like rushed to to go just replace Trey. But at the same time, it's kind of like if somebody's going to offer you a massive deal for Trey to be able to like restart or kickstart the season because they think, you know what I mean, he could be a piece for them, then I'm torn about like, do you do it or not?
I think honestly, and this is really I've already mentioned before that I feel like Trey and Zion are connected to a degree. It's because I think if you trade Trey, and it's because just framing it, Duren's regular season, even though it's semi-forgotten about based on how he's performed in the postseason. Because the postseason is what matters the most to people usually.
Yeah.
So if I'm trading someone who I got on a cheap deal who's 26 and he don't fit the future guys anyway, like to me, I do not want to see Duren and Derek Queen next to one another. He don't really fit those guys anyway. And I'm trading for the right to pay him. Like, to me, if I'm going in that direction, I might as well just kind of just trade everybody. Because, like, honestly, to me, I'm in a similar situation with Duren. I'm probably in a worse fit situation with Zion and Duren. Because I still don't got nobody that can shoot threes. I don't really know what Zion gonna do this upcoming season. I hope it's something positive. Like I hope he returns to All-Star form, but we haven't seen it yet. It's possible, we just haven't seen it yet. But
I feel like
I
don't think we move and trade. Let me just put that out there. I don't think we move and trade, similar to what you said, and I don't think
would you be happy with this deal Nando presented?
Nah.
Duncan Robinson, Duren for Trey, with us getting a pick or two.
Nah, I can't do that one. I just think there's other
and I
players.
like Duren. The fit just too bad, though. Like oh, Elvin, you froze. Oh, damn.
Right,
my bad,
because
y'all. Oh, there you go. You back. You froze for a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. It's not that I'm opposed to moving Trey, but like again, man, if I'm moving Trey, I'm moving Trey for like I want the
I don't want to be a lateral move.
Yeah, or like even if I gotta come back for like a year, you know what I mean? I want somebody with the higher ceiling. Like I think Ace Bailey has the higher ceiling. Like so if Utah wanted to go more of an all-in kind of move, right? Like I would consider getting that blue chipper, Ace Bailey, or if Washington wanted to make their all-in move. Okay, let me look at some of the pieces that they have as opposed to just like Duren, respectfully. You know what I mean? So it's not that I'm opposed to moving Trey per se, but if I'm a move Trey, it's gonna be to one of those teams that I think can replace what I think Trey can do, and then have a higher, like potentially higher ceiling than what I'm expecting for Trey. Because do I think Trey can be, at some point be like what's the word, man? Like a repeated all-star? Yeah, like a fringe all-star. I don't know. I think at some point Ace Bailey looked like the type of player that could be,
potentially fringe all-star.
Yeah, like a consistent all-star type player. Like I want the guy that's not just fringe. I need the dude that's like really, like
no, I get what you're saying. I think
true blue chip guy that look like he could be a franchise kind of guy.
Look, and I mean this in the best way. Shout out to Louisiana girl. She said they'd only move Trey for a star or high draft pick. I would imagine high would be like top 4, top 5. But what if leaked is Minnesota's open to taking the Giants if they lose? Hey, the Wardell sounds nice. Take us there. Let's do it.
I could see that as a strong possibility as well.
Shout out to Joe and say Zion's going to shock the league this year. And look, I hope so, because that's been a saying for quite some time. And the thing here's the thing, and we just gotta go by the tangible results we've seen up until this point. Zion alone, in theory, doesn't do it for you, right? So for this team, if the emphasis is being put on winning, you need Jeremiah Fitz to take another step. You need to go out and trade for some more star power, some more offensive talent. Be big. And if hypothetically, if I was to trade Trey for Duren or for this rookie, whoever this rookie is, I'm going to spend the rest of the season saying, I sure could use a player like Trey Murphy. I sure wish I had some shooting around this bitch. It's just a thing to where, like,
well, again, so look at a player like,
and I'm sorry, there's one more thing. I'm sorry. Also, you need Zion to take another step.
Yes,
that's what it boils down to, bro. If Zion was taking a Giannis like leap, and I don't even mean MVP Giannis, I mean a reliable guy on both ends who's going to play, then it don't matter what parts you change around him necessarily, because you got this guy here you can bank on. But until Zion can prove that consistently, and he's doing some great work in this offseason with Chris, putting the work and showing some reliability, we need that trend to continue and lead to wins in the regular season.
Absolutely. I just thinking about like the trades and stuff like that is just kind of like, bro, if you move Trey, for example, for like a Trey Johnson type, like he's not as tall, but he has the same archetype like
Trey Johnson. From Washington.
Yeah, from Washington. So like if you got I don't know, man. If I got Trey Murphy and what they at number 1 right now, so you ain't getting number 1 for Trey. But if I got like Trey Johnson and I don't know,
like 3 future first,
give me like Trey Johnson, Will
no.
Riley in a pick, Trey Johnson and you know what I mean?
I need about 2-3 picks.
I'm saying if I got Trey, Keyshawn George, and like a pick or 2 or something like that, I don't think they would do that because Keyshawn George look like he got a lot of potential. But if I'm doing something like that, then I'll consider it because I could probably make up Trey's numbers and impact and like value. Again, Trey, if we believe that Jeremiah Fizz in a year or 2 will probably be as good, Trey Johnson going into year 2. You know what I mean? I don't think he'll be Trey. I'm just saying.
I'm kind of rolling the dice. Well, with Trey Johnson, I'm looking like this could go either way. Like this.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. You could be good or you could be a regular dude.
Yeah.
But he showed some flashes, man. Like
definitely. I wish I would have got to see him more.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm just when we just thinking about like Trey. If I'm a trade Trey. I personally don't think Duren is enough of a ceiling or floor raiser for me to move Trey for. But if I'm a move Trey, I'm a move Trey for somebody where like they might not be as good as Trey right now, but in a year or 2, like when I'm on that Fierce Queen timeline, like Ace Bailey probably looked like he could be your best, like he should be your best player or something like you get the wing that look like he could be the best player on the team. That would be my goal.
Yeah, I think you got to be in the business of talent acquisition mode because the Pelicans at this point have 7 future firsts, if I'm not mistaken. You gotta be in talent acquisition mode. And look, let me tell you, and this is shout out to Louisiana Gal. Because I saw 2 people reference that. Like this back and forth if you trade Trey, and that reminds me when everyone's debating on trading Portland. Trading to Portland or for KD. Now, here's the difference, right? Here's the difference. With the Scoop thing, you were trading Brandon for a number 2 or 3 pick because it was Charlotte or Portland. With Trey, and even for Kevin Durant, it's like Kevin Durant. I mean, we see how that worked out. Even with Scoop, like it hasn't worked out. Even with Brandon Miller, it hasn't necessarily worked out. But you would have given yourself some options there. But the thing with Brandon was already a distressed asset. He had already just injured his toe and he was moving forward after that. Whereas like this wasn't trading him right off the Suns series, if I'm not mistaken. For Portland. Now with the KD thing, I think it was right after the Suns series.
The KD thing
was right after the Suns series.
Right after the Suns, because they were struggling in because KD it wasn't about Brandon. But KD was trying to get out of Brooklyn.
And the conversation was, and I was a little privy to these conversations, it wasn't for Brandon for KD. It was Brandon and Zion for Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant was like, I'm not going to New Orleans. I don't give a fuck what happens. Right? so that was what I was told when that was happening, right? But I think, again, see, Zion kind of fogs up the conversation because Trey isn't a distressed asset. Like Brandon, by the time Brandon for Portland came around, Brandon had become a distressed asset.
Come back to earth some.
Yeah, and like I gotta pay this motherfucker soon.
Which is why I'm having at least the conversations about Trey right now. Because, for example, Brooklyn moved Mikal and got the King's ransom for Mikal, right? But they got the King's ransom for Mikal. If they tried to trade Mikal today, you couldn't get that deal.
Also, the circumstances is so different, bro. Because, like, shout out to Louisiana Gal. I think this is another good question. See, can Trey be the number 1 and number 2 on the championship team? And here's where Zion fogs up the conversation a lot. I would say if you got a great number 1, your number 2 can be good or pretty good. You feel me? Because nobody, because to me, I'm like, to me, the question would be no, because I don't believe Zion is that caliber of number 1. If not, if you asking me, I'm trying to think of like the worst team that it made. Like, if you asking me, can Trey have a Chris Middleton run? I'm gonna say, yeah, absolutely. Because you only got to do it. Because again, the Nets was about to get swept. Chris Middleton, once Harden went down and Kyrie went down, Chris Middleton became Superman. It just wasn't nothing you could do with Chris Middleton in that series. And then Giannis went to the finals and he acted a dog. But it's like, again, I just can't see a world right now where Zion is just a MVP top 3 guy in the league, and it don't matter who you put with me. You just grab Superman cape. Like I just don't see it.
If I take Z out of it, I just don't think Trey's game yet
translates to
like I
think number 3, number 4,
3 or 4 at best, like for Trey as of right now. So like when I'm thinking about Trey, I'm not even thinking about Trey as in like keeping him as my 1 or 2. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even viewing Zion as my 1. I'm not even viewing Zion as my 1 right now.
Me neither. Not right now.
Personally, like this season, what this season showed me is that he's not a 1. He can be a 1 on some nights.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about similar to what you're saying throughout the season, like just carry no matter what. I don't think he can do that right now. So with that being the case, like I'm looking for who can be 1 above Z, even if it's not today.
And to me, this is where the Ja Morant conversation comes in. Because even if you think talent for talent, I might give the edge to Zion. I do. But when it comes to like mentality and just drive and I drive winning, it's Ja unquestionably. So and that's the thing. It's like no one's questioning Zion's talent. It's like you got to stay on the court for 1, and for 2, you can't be taking 16 shots a game. You got sometimes you might need to shoot that bitch 25 times. And like you know what I'm saying? It's like and that's the difference between some guys. Like that's the difference between like talent and the deliverables.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? Talent versus tangibles. Because you every night Zion step on the court, he got a chance to be the most talented motherfucker out there, bar none. Then abuse Wemby, then abuse Jokic, then abuse the ball, then dunked on everybody, then dropped 20 plus some on everybody. But some nights he could just be a talented guy who just floating through the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's why, to me, I'm not looking to replace Trey. I'm looking to add talent. And I'm looking for somebody.
Substantial talent.
I want somebody who's as good or better than Zion, personally. That's my target.
Which is why when I was looking through a lot of the deals, like I'm looking at Washington, it's like, unless you about to go ahead and try and listen, AD, you coming back, and not only are you coming back, because we need you to come back for what we're trying to give away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't just need you to come back. Like, it don't help to get a player, but I got to give up the Trey Murphy, right? And I understand you got to give some stuff up to get quality players, but that's why, like, if I'm talking about Ja, like, those are the players you need to go to, because Ja is a player that, regardless of whatever people say, can elevate. If he's right, elevate your system, which is why my trade for them was the one we talked about before, Ja and KCP for Poole Murray. If I got to throw in the pick to do that, I'll do that.
And I think also we talking about Duren because that's like the most obvious trade candidate that they would have that would make sense for that might pique the Pelicans' interest, because Detroit don't have a top pick this year that would add some leverage to the conversation. But whatever the Pelicans do, trade-wise, it can't be lateral because you're not good.
No.
Whatever you do, it got to put you on an incline. You can't replace one area of need with another area of need. Like you gotta plug some of the holes versus like, you know, play whack-a-mole and do one and not the other. But let's pivot. I think I'm not opposed to trade nobody. It has got to make sense. That's what I would say.
Especially when you're trying to compete.
Yeah.
So like if you look at again, we were talking about Minnesota, for example, with everything that they got going on, and them having to truly decide what's going on with them, because they can compete, but they're that goes to show also how fast your window can like
I said all the time, your window can close fast because
and they didn't even really have
there,
a window.
bro.
Yes.
Them dudes right there, bro.
They had the opportunity against Dallas, didn't take advantage against Dallas. You had the opportunity last year against OKC, and OKC was just a better team. But like now, look at you. The Spurs then caught up to you. And next year, you ain't gonna have the same team.
And let me say this, yo, shout out to everybody in the building. I'm starring a lot of y'all questions. Y'all asking some great questions. Keep sending them questions in. Make sure you hit the like button. Y'all asking some great questions. Shout out to Louisiana Gale, Nando, Don Guillory. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Y'all asking some great questions. Mark, I see you. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm starring all these questions. We're gonna answer all these. These are some great questions, man. But continue, please continue, bro.
No, so like as we looking at Minnesota again, that's a team. You talking about windows? Your window can open up early, and then you could listen. Minnesota made the all-in move when they went and traded for Rudy Gobert. They gave up all of the stuff for Rudy Gobert, right? You had Cat, and then another thing that people talk about is when that money really started calling. When the money really started calling,
shit ain't cute no more. Then
Boston went up. Like, bro, when you decide to go all in during and create your window, you got to get it done. Unless you're lucky enough, right? Unless you're lucky enough to have OKC situation where your star become a star. You hit in the draft and your draft becomes.
You got cheap talent. You could keep rotating people. Yeah,
bro. Your draft, yes, you could draft well, but again, it ain't just about drafting well, to be honest. Because you can draft well, you can hit, and then a player could get hurt, and he could not be the same player. Like it's a lot. Like if Zion is again, bro. If Zion's not like injured, like injury riddled, like the Pelicans' fortunes could be completely different. So it's just
keeping it $1. Zion probably not here. If Zion had an injury-free career, Zion probably is already gone. Just because Zion had so much money and marketing surrounding him, he probably would have dipped already. You feel me?
Yeah, but put a bin ass for that.
I do know that Zion, for us with the city, even with the charity shit, because there's a lot of shit Zion do charity-wise, you never hear about. Like he don't really promote it like that. He does a lot of charitable shit. Zion locked in with the city. Look, in a lot of ways, Zion locked in with the city, from what I'm told. So all that he don't like New Orleans shit, that's false. Zion love New Orleans.
Zion love the city.
But it's like we just would love to see you on the court, brother. That's all we ask on the real. But to your point, look, bro, all that shit is cool when everybody on rookie scale deals. Once you gotta start signing them extensions and motherfuckers gotta deliver, then it becomes a question. Like during the regular season, Duran more than earned his extension. Now in the postseason, it's like, all right, now I got questions. You feel me?
And that shit changed fast. You go from
very fast,
bro. You go from being a 1 seed powerhouse to did we go game 7 with the AC? Did we struggle with the 8? Thank God for that injury, or we'd have lost in the first round.
Yeah,
then
people
you go
forget Browns got hurt. Yeah.
Yes. Now you go into the second round and you're like, wait, we just lost at home by 30 in game 7?
Yeah, that's another thing, bro. People dislike Mosley, but Mosley, he had a 3-1 lead, but remember when you went up 3-1, Franz got hurt. And that's like that kind of fucked up.
That's your number 2. Franz at times.
That's arguably like your number 1.
Yeah, it looks like the one.
Number 1. So we got Minnesota. That's one team that you looking to pillage. So the players you would look to take from that team would be potentially Naz Reid and or Dante Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo, some combination of that for maybe they need a score, so it would have to be DeJounte.
Listen, I think I'm not gonna lie. As I'm looking at what Minnesota's gonna have to try to do, similar to what the Rockets needed to do. Bro, they like, to me, teams that need a quality, and this is why I'm gonna give DeJounte his like a little bit of credit, right? Like teams that need a player that's like not a star, but like better than like average.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he might not be an all-star level player, but he's not just Mike
Conley. No scrub.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you as a team that needs that kind of player, Minnesota is a team that needs a guy like that. Like the Rockets really could have used a DeJounte. To me, and when we talk about the Pelicans, I don't really think DeJounte moves the needles for us that much because I think we need a higher tier player than DeJounte. So if you could turn DeJounte into like that star, then I think that's why it doesn't work for us, which is why I'm so willing to move DeJounte. Like if we had a clear number 2, then it would be different.
Yeah.
Like I think even if Minnesota gets DeJounte, right? I think DeJounte would do more for them than what, say, Naz Reid does for them.
I think also taking into account that at this stage, like Naz Reid is a rotational player. He's a very good rotational player. He's a rotational guy. He's not like a bona fide starter at this stage. So you got Minnesota. Who's next on your list?
As far as like teams we going to?
Yeah.
So my obviously Jazz my top target. So Memphis is 1. Minnesota is 2.
Right.
Bro, I'm looking at the Clips, right? I'm looking at the Clippers, and this is what's interesting to me because, and we could, I throw a couple of these at you, and then we could kind of go from there. But this is why, because I don't think Kawhi is an option. So I'm not even talking about Kawhi. I'm not talking about. I'm not even talking. Like I know I'm talking about Ja, but I'm not talking about.
Kawhi love money, but Kawhi he would retire.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not thinking about Garland. I'm not even thinking about Ben Mathurin. Right. When I looked at do you think Montrese? I think she might. I think she might do.
Shout out to Montrese. She's a fan of Rajon Rondo. She follows some of the guys in the AAU unit circuit. So shout out to her.
Yeah. So like when I look at the Clippers, I'm not even considering what's his name? Garland. I'm like none of the. So I'm just eliminating. I'm eliminating those players because I don't think Garland moves the needle like Ja would move the needle. You get what I'm saying? Even though their salaries are similar.
You know what?
You think Garland would?
I wouldn't say he'd move the needle, but Garland coming off 2 All-Stars. I ain't gonna lie. I think a healthy Garland. He would give you more than DeJounte. I'll say that. But not
absolutely. Yeah. If we talking about Garland for DeJounte, yes. Yeah. But I'm just looking at Garland small, you know what I mean? Like injury prone. If I'm I just seen Ja, and I think from a mentality point, I don't think Garland's the one. Like I'm trying to go find the one. If I'm not finding out one or somebody who can turn Zion into the one from a mentality standpoint, I need just like quality players, right? So I'm looking at the Clippers and I was like, bro, what do you think of turning Herb into like Derrick Jones and Chris Dunn?
No picks. I don't get no picks.
No picks. No picks.
I'm cool.
You don't think it moved the needle at all? Just about like filling out the roster, playable. Because we don't have a lot of playable talent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm cool because thinking of could I look at Chris Dunn? Of course, he's gotten better since he's re-entered the league. I look at Chris Dunn as still like a fringe NBA guy. Derrick Williams Jr., nice high flying athlete. If it was like a situation where it was like for Derrick Jones Jr. and a pick. Cool, but I'm like, do you think they gonna? Because I'm looking at it this way too. You preaching about this Herb contract, and so you looking like I need to get off this money,
So I'm looking at teams that's like might be still looking to compete, who could kind of fill in those voids. Because I don't even like the idea of Brook Lopez, but I'm like, if I could do Brook and Jones Jr. for Herb and Hawk. And I get me a somewhat replacement start, like a starting center at least, and Jones Jr. off the bench. Like they're at least Jones Jr. is at least an NBA level.
Yeah, he definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And Brook still 7 feet, still shoot. You know what I mean? Still shoot. I'm not saying they need like major minutes or nothing, but both of them are expiring as well.
Shout out to them in the building. Appreciate your big dog. I totally get your point. I think I can get more for my money. And breaking news.
Okay.
So right now the Pelicans are down. I'm sorry, I said the Pelicans. The Pistons are down. So that's Pelicans East. Pistons are down 32 points heading into the fourth quarter. It's like 2 minutes left in the third. The Cavs showed up and showed out tonight. Bam, kick. Over. They're out of there. Yeah. Shout out to my girl Jess in the building. What up with you, Jess? She said, what up, Chad? Hey, David? We chilling. So, and man, like I said, y'all keep sending them great comments. Y'all making some very, very good points and stating some very good questions. Mm-hmm. We skipped Chicago. And to me, we skipped old Bryson.
Yeah, I was gonna circle back to Bryce.
My bad.
No, you good. No, you good. We could talk Chicago because I know you had. So do you think? Because I know you had the Chicago deal to Herb for Jalen Smith. Yeah. Do you think Herb for Jalen Smith is a better deal than like Herb for Brook and Derrick Jones Jr.?
Wait, it wasn't just for it wasn't just for Jay. It wasn't just for Jay. No, hold on. Where is it? Where is the deal? Is it right here? Yep. It was Herbert Jones, all defensive guy, for Jalen Smith, University of Maryland alum. Well, he ain't really an alum, but you get my point. He's Catholic, Gail gonna like him. And that, what is it? Pick 16.
16. It's their second.
15.
Pick, second.
Pick, yeah.
Is it 15?
It's pick 15. So okay, you get a stretch big who can defend the rim, who can rebound, coming off a really quality year. You got some familiarity with him with University of Maryland, cheap contract, and get a nice quality pick.
So you prefer searching for the pick while trying to get off the expiry?
Because I think as a collective, like by the sum of your parts, those two guys do the job for you. Versus Herb. Shout out to Jaden in the building. But I also think I can't see a world where they help me get to the next level. Whereas if I get this pick, maybe I can hit a home run with this motherfucker, and maybe I find my Jalen Williams. Maybe I find my, Jim guy who not only replaces Herb. Maybe I find my AJ Mitchell. Maybe I found my guy at 15. You feel me? And I got J-Dub, not J-Dub. And I got Jalen Smith, who's a very quality player. And I get off Herb's contract.
So you looking at it like don't go the route of like the contending teams, what they do, where it's kind of like, listen, we need players that can play now.
Yeah.
We'll be because they'll Brook Lopez and Derrick Jones Jr. today. If you
Thank you, Nando. Appreciate you for the super chat for that 5-piece, brother. Thank you.
They 1000% make you better than just trading for Jalen Smith. But if pick 16 turned into Cameron Carr,
15,
15, you know what I mean, turned into Carr or Sanak or something like that
on a rookie scale deal. Yep.
Right. In the long term, that's a better situation for you.
And thinking a couple moves ahead, and again, you had a stage where even with Brook might be loony, older guy, not really,
not really give you anything.
Not really giving you anything. Whereas at least I got a few different options, like with Jalen, whatever happened with Eve. I got some money in free agency because I cleared some. I also gave myself some cap from potentially clearing Herb's salary. I could sign a free agent. Maybe I go get Precious Achua. I got different things I could do. Find a couple shooters here and there. I got things I could do. Whereas with Derrick Jones Jr., who's solid player, even Brook, solid player, is like, now I'm kind of just stuck with them. They don't really have no resale value.
Do you think in any world, not any world, but obviously Bryson loves Trey.
Yeah.
Right? Bryson loves Trey. What would it take for you to send Trey to Chicago?
Pick 4.
Pick 4? I said pick 4 and Matas.
I'll take Matas too. If it's pick 4 and Matas, I probably would trade Trey.
You would do
it?
And
look, I'm not even a person who loves this. Well, see, here's the thing. if Boozer, if Boozer's on the board, if it's just Boozer left, I'm like,
you don't want to do it.
I'm not. I probably would have to do it, but I'm not a big Boozer guy. I don't like that brand of player necessarily, because I'm like, this is now I got two power forwards, like you know what I'm saying. So
that's why I was.
If it's Caleb Wilson, I'd probably be more willing to take the swing.
One of my deals I had was Montes and 4 for Trey, because I know Bryson. I think Bryson believes in Trey a lot. You know what I mean?
If it's Montes and 4 for Trey, and they just match the salary, I would have to love this draft. And I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Most people do.
I just, and that's the thing.
You ain't feeling it like that yet?
Maybe I'm ill.
I need to see how I would have to see how it shook out first.
Man, and yo, shout out to my dog Cole Kine, the super chat with the 5 peaches. Say, hey, what y'all think about a coaching search? Also, what y'all think we should go after Jalen? I guess me J-Dub or Jaylen Brown. If it's up to me, I'm going after Jaylen Brown.
I would say Jaylen Brown as well. Now the interesting thing about J-Dub is, again, for as great as OKC is, Shea got paid, J-Dub got paid, Chet got paid.
Hartenstein still on the books.
Hartenstein money gonna be 28 next year. Not saying you can't let them go.
You got an option, yeah.
But OKC is, and with all of their young players, like they're gonna be in a position to where it's kind of like, hey, do we move? Do we like reset a little bit? Like, let's say they go back-to-back champions, right? Back-to-back championships. Like, I think of course you got to run it back.
Yeah.
But if they lose, then it's kind of like, are they more willing to move one of their core pieces, because you got so many pieces behind them that's ready to start? Like, they ain't missed a beat so far with J-Dub being out.
I think if it's like J-Dub and play style gonna come into question. If it's J-Dub and Hartenstein for Jaylen Brown, I think they potentially do that. But like when you talk about chemistry and continuity and stuff like that, because even with AJ Mitchell, like you might not want to buy the cow just yet.
Somebody made a really good point. I can't remember who this was I was talking to that said this, and said that OKC players for them might be like Heat role players when they were like in the Heat. You know what I mean?
I agree. That's kind of, and I like Jalen Williams, but I kind of think Shea's greatness is the rising, and the coach, you got awesome coach, of course, is the rising tide that lifts all boats.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Like, I don't think he's LeBron, but they better than some of the teams LeBron had later in his career. But I also think that, like, on the real, Chet never became what you thought Chet was going to become. He just settled into a cool role.
He's in a great spot where he is.
Yeah, he don't got to do much,
and he helps. He's just what he just helps them what they need.
Right. It got to be a situation kind of like this, for comparison's sake. Let's say Detroit went to back-to-back finals, right? They lost in the second finals. Then they kept getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, but couldn't advance. So they said, well, fuck, we need something that's going to get us over the hump. We're going to trade Chauncey Billups for Allen Iverson. It didn't work out, but I think if you trade in Jalen Williams, you got to trade for somebody who's arguably like
better than Shea.
Yeah.
Well, not better than Shea, but on that
better
level.
than Jalen. If you trade J-Dub, like, I got to trade for somebody who's head and shoulders better. Because J-Dub is like cold on both sides.
Let me ask you this: how good do you think J-Dub is? Because I know he made third team All NBA last year. But like, I don't know if he's good.
Third team a little funny because it depends on who got hurt. But
you get what I'm saying? I don't know if he like.
I think
again, he's one of those players like OKC. 60 wins back-to-back seasons. You know your stars make all-stars when y'all look like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he like. You think he like Clay with Steph level? As like the two to Shea?
I think. Well, fuck. Honestly, I mean, if they win one more ring, I'm gonna have to say yeah, because Steph only got 2 rings without KD. And if Shea get these two, you got two of the midgets. I think J Dub is at least as good as Scotty Barnes. I think he's a Scotty Barnes tier player. Like fringe all NBA, fringe all-star type guy, depending on who all healthy and what's going on. And some nights in the finals, you're like, yo, this motherfucker's a monster. And then some nights he kind of took the night off. So it depends. Like he has moments of just greatness. Like, and in some moments it's like, hey,
he had some times in the player. He had moments in the playoffs where he was just a guy.
Yeah, he could be just a guy. But it's like, I don't know. And it's like we loaded, but we got.
I think OKC is a guy is a team that like, they're in a position where if they lose to the Spurs, right? Let's say hypothetically they lose to the Spurs, they can be very aggressive with whatever they want to do. Like, let's say they called you and was like, we'll give you 12, 16, and some of these young players, maybe a future, somebody else. They got picks out there, some future picks and stuff like that for Trey. AJ Mitchell, 12, 16, some other pick, salary filler, Dort for Trey.
I want y'all future first.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't want 12 and 6. Nah.
No, I'm saying they give you 12, 16, some other picks. You know what I mean? Salary. You still not doing it?
See, not for me, I ain't gonna lie. I don't want no back of the lottery ass first. Like, because now it could be a great player. I want your motherfucking child. I want your future. I want the money. Like, nah, take me to the safe. I know you got somebody's pick.
I need top five.
Because I'm like, I already got picks. It would be great to have like 10 more picks, but I'm not this malnourished ass team that don't have his own future first. You feel me? So I'm like, all right, like my goal is to be good in the shorter term. I want a player. If I'm the Pelicans, picks would be cool, but I'm not in the market for
Would
picks.
Chet move you?
If for Chet for Trey and some picks,
something like that, yeah.
I probably would do that.
I don't think you can get. I don't think they probably frown at us.
Here's the thing: they don't have to move none of their guys, honestly, because like they got Caruso at mid-tier salary, like about 18, Hartenstein, and a bunch of picks. So some team gonna be like, who you said you wanted? You want to Walker Kessler for these? Let's do it.
But that don't move. That don't move them though. That don't move the needle for them.
I think Kessler better than Hartenstein if he stay healthy. But I think if they wanted to go get like, I'm trying to think.
If they lose to the Spurs, they need a guy.
I think they could easily go get like a true third option type guy. But see, that's the thing. Ain't a ton of people available right now neither. So
exactly.
Like, I think you would have to take the chance on a guy like Kevin Durant and just hope that your locker room, like,
bring him back home.
Yeah, it's funny saying that, but you would have to take a chance on Kevin Durant, hope your locker room can sustain. You would have, like, you're looking at that tier of guy because truthfully, we're exiting that. Like, they like Adam Silver did a good job at creating parity in the NBA. Because we've exited the superstar era. It's over. Like, again, if that bubble don't happen, LeBron never gets a ring in Los Angeles, probably. So that would be a colossal failure in storyline. I think you just at the point where you don't really ain't that many true options. So you really kind of gotta bet on continuity. You got all these picks, you gotta bet on drafting the next guy. Like versus like even with AJ, and again, I like AJ Mitchell. I know you talked about him a lot. It's
I like AJ.
It's like let's just say best case scenario, right? Let's say what we've seen continues to trend like this way. Now project outward and be like AJ and Jeremiah Fairs in the backcourt. I'm gonna need some big motherfuckers in the front court. I'm gonna need a real 3, a real 4, and a real 5 because that shit cool because you got Hartenstein and Chet right there. You got some dogs on defense.
Yeah.
And even Shea plays some solid defense at times.
Yes.
But it's like, if I don't have that and I got this undersized backcourt, what do I really do? Because Edgecombe and Maxey look great with Embiid right there. We don't really know how they're gonna look when Embiid's gone or whatever happens with him.
Yeah.
So it's just so many ways shit can go. It's so many ways shit can go. Like if I was them, I'll call Kevin Durant and be like, bro, look, this gonna be the easiest money you ever made. You about to get another ring. You gonna go stand over there.
Yeah, because then so they line up would look like Shea. I mean, Dort and Hartenstein probably gone. Which, to be honest, Houston could use
that
both
would help.
of them.
That would help Houston. Honestly, and look,
if I'm Houston, you might need to make that call.
I don't want to aggregate this, but Houston would be a much better team, in my opinion. You got a real center to play Nesta Sengun. You got Dort who could give you some of what Dylan Brooks was giving you. Like those dudes are like real culture setters. And not Kevin Durant, for as great as he is, it's kind of like if Kevin Durant at this point, he a vet. He's not trying to be around no young motherfuckers like that. Especially if you ain't winning, he ain't here to babysit. So shout out to my dog Zeke in the building. He said, I got a little hope for this duck ass team. I think it's gonna work out. It's just so early in the process. It's like, Squallow, you gotta pause that, bro. I get
what's your
pause that, Squallow. Shout out to Squallow. Make sure y'all hit the like button if you're in the building. Squallow wild for that.
Yeah, what's your I won't say your win condition. What's your main win condition for this team? Moving forward.
Mean far as like what I want them to do?
Yes, like the true thing to competitiveness. Because as I'm looking at deals, I keep coming back to Ja. Like I just keep coming back to Ja Morant. I'll be honest. And that it don't feel like deal, but like that's just
to me, you know what I will say, bro. I think things again, just like we talk about windows closing fast. Michael Carter Williams was rookie of the year. Tyreke Evans, rookie of the year. Everybody thought Eric Gordon was about to be the next Dwayne Wade. They was calling this motherfucker Flash Gordon. And it just never worked out. Like a lot of times shit fizzle out. So I think in the short term, you better get some real NBA talent that's proven, that's not over the hill, that's still like distressed assets. Because again, you're the Pelicans. People think OKC, that shit has worked out overnight. It's like, no, OKC was getting back motherfuckers like Gordon Hayward. Like they was like
7 years in the making.
This like 7-8 years in the making. You gotta get Paul George. I'm talking Paul, you gotta get Paul George first.
Get rid of Paul George.
To get rid of Paul George. If Kawhi go to the Lakers, this never happens. Like, you know what I'm saying?
True.
So a lot of it's got to be steps to the process, in my opinion. I'm sorry. Let me ask Nando, and we can move on to the next team as well. I think honestly, I think the Pelicans got a path to being 5, 6, 7 seed next year. Because you got to imagine certain teams. I don't think they're gonna tank necessarily like they did this year, but I do think certain teams gonna be like the Kings, like, damn, bro, we got fucked again.
Yeah,
and then we gotta trade some of these dudes. Like, it's just a lot of avenues. Nando say, question is, do the Pels feel the same way about Ja like we do? I've heard different things. It all depends on who you believe.
Yeah,
like, if you believe Scotto and Scoop B, then yes. I know some people feel certain ways about Scoop B, but if you believe Scotto for hoops hype, then the Pelicans did do their due diligence. I don't know if they're in love with the idea of Ja Morant, but I do think that just like people talk about the Fears and Ja Morant pairing, even though I don't think that would be your backcourt, but in theory, you think about the Dumas and Isaiah Thomas pairing that Dumas referenced in the end of season presser. But go ahead, bro.
Nah, I'm just referring to Ja. I think they're in. I don't think they want to give up too much to get talent, but I do think they want to. I think they want to get better. So, like, if you could get a Ja level, I think they're looking at it like if I could get a Ja level talent for parts that I'm kind of going to give away anyway, then I think that's kind of like what they're looking for.
Bro,
I just keep referencing Ja because again, man, when I look through the league, like again, Kessler would be fantastic, but like the only way you really realistically could get Kessler is through like sign and trade, in my opinion.
I don't think Kessler. I
don't think he's not a realistic option.
I think because and shout out to Cole, because I want to talk about the Kessler narrative as well. When you talk about guys that can really instill a boost with this team, Cole say with the 5 piece, appreciate you, bro. He said if Gail rejected Rondo, why would she accept Ja Morant? Well, it's two totally different situations. And
you got your own version of that here anyway with fucking
certain people.
Respectfully.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like again, bro, so much stuff because it's a fair question. We don't know that she rejected Rondo at this stage.
Right.
One of the incidents with Rondo was on tape. And also nobody was ever formally charged with the Pelicans. Whereas Coach Rondo, he was arrested at one point. But again, that's like presuming Gail really gives a fuck about any of that. Because let me tell y'all something. If you're gonna win, people care less. Because people were saying this old weak ass weird shit. Like they got cut Zion, they got cut him. Shut your whole ass up, you old guilty till proven innocent bitch ass motherfucker. Trying to throw a nigga away because a motherfucker put a charge like that. Come on, like that shit is wild. Shout out to Cole. He said, I heard she did. Look, it's possible, bro. It's very possible. But I will say that the reason why those situations are different is because Rondo was arrested at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas the other times, it's just accusations, civil situations. Because by that standard, it's like, well, Gail wouldn't take Anthony Edwards. You know what I'm saying?
Also, word is that, well, part of the big thing is I think it's different with players because that's the whole purpose of bringing in Joe Dumars.
Yeah.
Joe Dumars literally was the disciplinarian for the league office. So, like, if you brought him in to deal with the shit with Zion and all of it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you have the perfect person in place to deal with any potential player.
You got the league principal.
Yes.
The league disciplinarian.
For any person that you want to bring in and consider.
And I'll say this. I'm sorry. I'll say this. Shout out to some guy also. I'll say this before we pivot to the next point. Nobody knows more about Ja Morant in his situation or Rondo in his situation than Joe Dumars.
Yes.
No, nobody know more than Joe Dumars because he's the league disciplinarian. Now Rondo was kind of semi out the league when that happened, but still, like NBA got private eyes, they got all these things, and I don't know if people remember some of the things that were said about some of the guys with the Pelicans. Like, I'm just telling you, it was a lot of wild shit being said about not just one guy. And look, I don't want to put my boy out there, but even when you talk about people like, well, Rondo would be the face of the team. It's like, well, you might. I don't want to do that because he got us a Super Bowl. But I'm telling you, bro, he got a long history of people.
that dude was loved.
That dude was loved. And look, I ain't even talking about who people think I'm talking about. Not the dude who plays safety. Not him. I'm talking about the guy. We'll move on. We're gonna move on.
We'll leave that alone.
So, but another team would be I think we cool on Brooklyn, right? How would you feel about Brooklyn? Nick Claxton, potentially maybe Sharp?
I don't care. I don't really care. To your point, if it ain't Michael Porter, I don't really want to talk about it. Really? Yeah, because because that's fair. Like, that's fair. Literally where I'm at is, and because I thought about if I could move Herb in an isolated deal, I'm only moving like that was really the only piece I would move for like mid-level people that don't really move the needle for you. You get what I'm saying? Like if I got like just to get off Herb deal, that's why I came up with the Derrick Jones and stuff. It's like, look, all right, look, we could get it maybe a little bit better, but we get off the deal, whatever that situation might be. But okay. Other than that, I'm swinging. I'm like, I would love to add like a Michael Porter. I look at Michael Porter similar to Levine.
What's the avenue for you getting Michael Porter Jr. and would you give him a contract extension?
I'm offering. If I can't get you with the same shit, the DeJounte Poole, DeJounte Herb,
he coming off a good year though. Michael Porter Jr. coming off a good year.
But what's they so this the problem.
They got money too. They got money to spend.
They do, but so again, this the thing with Brooklyn, right? You got Michael Porter Jr. That's your piece. Okay, what else do you have, and who's available that you gonna get? Like
you got the number 6 pick, right? You got Buku Bread.
You got Buku rookies right now too.
You got some rookies, but you got some vets. You got Nick Claxton, Terrence Mann. These ain't great players necessarily. But what I'm saying is, if they go out and say, you know what, we one of the only teams with money. Peyton Watson, what you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? What you want to do? And look,
Michael Porter Jr. They could throw the bread at Peyton Watson. Like again, you got to throw Peyton. You're gonna throw Peyton Watson a max? Like
it don't even got to be the max, honestly, because Denver.
What you call it? Gonna match.
I don't think Denver going up to like no 30.
I think Denver gonna go up to 30, and then they're gonna throw away what you call it.
Look, I was watching who?
Cam. Then I'm circling. Look, the second somebody.
But see, you gotta throw away Cam without taking back salary, and that's the thing. It's like that's a team that Detroit should probably show some interest in as well. A guy that they could show some interest in. But like you gotta if you Denver. I've listened to a lot of Denver guys lately. It's like it's tough, like because Aaron Gordon is hurt a lot now. You got to find someone to take Aaron Gordon and take back less salary. You may be looking at moving Murray. I don't think they go that far. You got Christian Bond contract that's not going nowhere. So if you do send out Cam, you got to take back less salary. That's why a Cam for her would work in some situations, but. You don't really got.
I'm looking at the free agents. I'm saying I'm looking at the free agents.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really.
It ain't great. It ain't bad.
No.
But it's awesome.
Like if you're gonna throw Peyton Watson $30 million, I don't think it move you.
Like for example, right, going into the new league year, they got 11 people on their roster. I'm talking about the Denver Nuggets, right? Let's say they waive Giannis. If they let Giannis go, and he one of the only options, you got 10 people on your roster. You still got to sign.
You talking about Milwaukee?
I'm sorry. No, I said Jonas Valanciunas. My bad.
Okay.
So let's say Denver waive Jonas. That'll bring them to 206. The luxury tax is $200 million. Plus, now you in a repeater tax. So you gotta. It's like I think it's like $3 to one or something weird like that. It's crazy, right? So. They got to get out the tax desperately. So they might have to pay to move.
Aaron Gordon gonna get moved.
I think Aaron Gordon gonna get moved. Like to me, Aaron Gordon on OKC would be crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I think that would be a nice move for them because you could be like, look, just chill during the regular season. Once we get to the playoffs, do your thing. But I'm telling you, bro, they can't really go up to like 28 million, 25 million for Peyton. Because boy,
if Peyton Watson get 30 million, bro, that's gonna be wild.
If he gets 30 million, that's insane.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
It better be for like 4 years.
Bro, if Peyton Watson get 30 million in like the offseason that we just saw with the salary cap limitations and shit, dude ain't done like I like him.
Yeah,
he ain't done nothing to deserve.
But
30.
I'll tell you why Brooklyn might do it though, because Brooklyn not a free agent destination, and you got Igor, you got all these young guys. You just drafted 4 motherfuckers. You're not really in a rush to keep, and you just fell in the lottery. You're not really in a rush to keep bringing all these rookies in. You might, and you just got they in a weird position, right? Because they're in a position where they got too much money as far as like picks and stuff. They got an embarrassment of riches, but they still got assets. Because if they trade Michael Porter Jr., you're probably getting like 2 firsts. So you got 2 firsts. You just got however many for my cap. And I think you got 1. I think they traded 1 with Michael Porter Jr. to get Cam. So you ain't got nowhere to really And none of these firsts is like about to be number 1 picks. So you was about to have a bunch of random guys for a long time. You got to start like winning a little bit. You got to get some real people in this bitch. So I don't know, bro. I think they're gonna try to get a guy.
I think Michael Porter said they're gonna try and get a guy. I'm just looking at who the guy might be because
I think it's gonna be Peyton Watson.
Even if I can give Peyton Watson some credence because him and Michael Porter was already on Denver together. So he might be like, "Hey, go get my dog Peyton." You know what I'm saying?
And they had a bad situation, Peyton Watson in Denver last year. That's the reason why Peyton Watson got to this point.
So I think Peyton gonna get his money, and it could be Brooklyn. But again, even if they bring in Peyton Watson, like what that do for Brooklyn? Like you still not gonna consider him the?
I think Brooklyn could be a solid team next year because Peyton. You don't got to stop at Peyton Watson because if you bring in Peyton Watson, you bring in a couple more like around the edge vets, or you take back a bad contract via trade. You can put forth a really solid team like next year. Not solid like good, but solid like get to like I think they can get to like the 8 seed. Like, I think it get to AC. Michael Porter Jr. stay healthy. Peyton Watson continues to trend upwards. Some of your guys, maybe they take the second step. What are they picking in the draft? They picking. What are they picking? They picking 6th. So then you got the rookie. Maybe he did
Michael
something.
Porter Jr. is your best player as your best player.
You look. I ain't saying that team.
They're gonna have some outside. They'll be able to make some moves for sure to where I can understand them not being like, no, we ain't gonna just give up on Michael Porter Jr. But at the same time, that's also a scenario where like if Michael Porter Jr. don't get the extension this offseason because he's extension eligible, if he don't get the extension this offseason, and like I can see them moving him by the trade deadline.
I can see that. See, the thing
like,
with
what would
a team,
be the point of keeping Michael Porter Jr.?
The thing with a team like Brooklyn, bro, is like they like New Orleans in a sense.
Them, boy.
Yeah, Lord. That game over. It's 116-81 at home. The Pistons, they nah. And look, no, it's worse because I was watching this game earlier. So Cleveland missed like 18 free throws.
Yeah, I saw
Cleveland missed a ton of free
throws.
And it's like, bruh.
James Harden was still James Harden in game 7, though.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he did not. he did not come to play.
Right now, 35 minutes, 2 for 10, 0 for 6 for 3, 9 points, 4-5. It's not good. Mitch balled out though, and Jared Allen balled out. Mobley.
So let's say. All right, now we're moving on to Sacramento. Wait, my bad. Is this too many teams we talking about?
No,
let me see. Could we skip Washington and Utah? So we're supposed to be doing 5 teams, and we
did. Well, we didn't really skip Washington. We from Washington, we talked about Trey. For me, it's Trey Johnson.
Yeah.
I had and again, it depends on what Washington do with the pick. Right, no. I don't think there's no true avenue for like Anthony Davis or nothing like that. Nah. Right. So then, if you go to Utah, it depends on what Utah is trying to do.
Yeah,
because
if like Utah, guys.
Yeah, if Utah trying to really make a move up,
you freezing a lot. You might have to
trying to bag and
you might have to exit and come back. You might have to exit and come back, L. You freezing a lot, bro. Hold up. Let me see how I can do this. Real quick. And I'm gonna answer some of y'all questions in the meantime while L's situation work out. All right, so we're gonna get to the star questions for now until L will come back, and then we'll be able to rock it again. Pause. All right, so it said I answered this one. My bad, y'all up here. Say now in reference to there go L right there. L, you good?
Is it straight? It's straight.
Oh yeah. You better not. It's been doing it probably like the last 10 minutes or so, but it was like kind of off and on. But so let's pivot to Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Sacramento for me, Levine contract is kind of out of the question for me, unless I would need, even though he's expiring, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm not 100% opposed to it, but I think Domantas Sabonis would be the guy I would target if I'm targeting rebounding, because you're probably not going to get a better rebounder via free agency or trade. I'm not interested in Miles Turner at all.
I'm not interested in Miles Turner at all either. I don't think Miles brings you nothing that like you really. I don't really think he gives you the size. I don't think the shooting consistent enough. You know what I mean?
To me, the rebounding is so poor from Miles that it's just like, okay, if I got Miles, now I'm playing Miles probably like 20 minutes. And I got to get another center who just a dog. To me, it would be like a Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson situation. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm playing Miles 20 minutes, and now I got to get another center to pair with Miles to try to get like that situation together. It would just be tough.
I need Miles Turner.
Oh, you freezing bad again, bro. Look, you might have to refresh the browser. Wait, go ahead.
Damn.
Yeah, you might refresh your Wi-Fi.
Hold on, let me.
Oh, you might have to change it.
I'll come back. I'll see what's happening.
All right, bet. Yeah, so even with a guy like Miles Turner, you know, he doesn't really help you in the rebounding department, give you some rim protection. But I do think that, and personally, this is my personal opinion, like what you saw with Giannis, with Jonas Valanciunas, when the Pelicans were a solid defensive rebounding team, when you were able to end possessions with a defensive rebound, that was more effective than, you know, giving you quote unquote blocks or quote unquote rim protection, because you could block someone and the offense still get the ball back to get an offensive rebound. So I think you need to be able to end possessions with a rebound. And that's why I think a Domantas Sabonis, Preston Achiuwa type guys who just dogs for rebounds, high rebound rate, even like Rashawn Holmes before he left the NBA, guys like that would be more effective for that particular need.
I don't know if that bitch still might not be working.
But yeah, we're gonna see. We're just gonna run it. But
so if it keep cutting this time, if it keep cutting, I might just have to call it. I ain't gonna, you know.
It's all good. It's all good. But shit, let's who we supposed to be talking about? Sacramento. So how you feel about potentially I know you was one of the first people talking about Sabonis, aside you and myself. So what's a deal look like to you for Zach LaVine potentially? Let's just say Zach LaVine was the guy. Now keep in mind, the Kings gotta shed some salary. They in bad salary space. Like they got a bad cap situation.
Yeah, that's what's tough with that particular team, because I don't know, because again, for us to get to anything, to get to any of their numbers, you got to be talking about like Poole, and it still got to be to get both of them at 40 something million. So like you got to be talking about maybe Poole and Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to do myself a favor too, like Poole and Hawkins.
And I think, and this is Zach LaVine don't got a trade kicker. If Zach LaVine got a trade kicker, that shit could go. Let me see every trade kicker. Go ahead, I'm listening, bro.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably what you're talking about. I ain't gonna lie, in a deal for something with the Kings, how I know the Kings need to get off some of their players. I'm trying to do something like Monk for Herb. You know what I'm saying? Like, like damn near straight up or something like that.
I can see something like
I'd be willing to take a little bit of salary, but like, look, y'all cut down a little bit year one. Give me Malik Monk for Herb Jones.
Give you a potential guy who could potentially start for you. Potential backup 6-man type guy. I think he making like 22 million or something along those lines. I would need a first back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a first back. I say that because
I need a pick. But
I need if I could do a pick, because I know y'all got money problems. I ain't in debt like that. I'm gonna need a first and Monk for her. I probably would do that.
Yeah,
and look,
I do that.
I probably throwing Hawkins so Hawkins can fall off the books the next year. Her contract only gonna jump like $4 million next year, so Hawkins fall off the books. And I think Malik Monk making like 22 million if I'm not mistaken. I would probably do that, honestly. Now, do they got more than one first?
Yeah.
I would take a future first potentially.
I take a future protected first or something.
Yeah.
Not protected, but like I take a future first from them. I'm not sure if they got two. I don't think they have two.
No, they only got one. They only got one. I just looked.
Yeah. So like you take your draft pick, and to be honest, if you want, like once you cut your money that, you can redirect her somewhere else.
Yeah, like you could send him to an actual contender because contender's gonna be calling. You might get a first or two potentially if he like because he's gonna get a lot of minutes. So maybe he get the up his shot diet and hopefully that bitch will go down.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah, you can double back, but
damn, Malik only making 20. Yeah, I'm doing that. Malik only making 20. Yeah. So I would do that deal like straight up and down.
I think he got what 1 year left, 2 years left.
I think he got like I think after this year
he only got Malik got left.
I think after this year it's just one. Let me make sure.
Yeah, I'll take a 2 year deal on Malik.
Let me see here. Yep,
because that puts you, like you said before, that puts you in a position where you got a spot starter. You know what I mean? Come off the bench. I think he's, the problem that people had with Poole was he was, inconsistent. I think Malik Monk is more. You know who Malik remind me of? Norm. You remind me of Norman Powell.
Norman Powell. I can see that.
Yeah.
Now,
what I'm saying? Just like consistently.
Full transparency. Now, Malik Monk, he did turn down the Pelicans in free agency before, but that was a while ago. So maybe things have changed. Yeah, and that was free agency. So maybe things have changed since then. So I think we could skip Atlanta because now that Bryson is gone, I don't see a scenario to where we could probably do a deal with Atlanta. Now, Dallas, we could end with Dallas. Okay. So look, we talked about it before. I think your idea was Clay for Herb and pick 9.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why I think they would consider it.
They wouldn't do that shit.
No, but here's why I think they would. It's the only reason why I think they would. For one, if Kyrie comes back, Cooper Flag is already good. Mm-hmm. And they don't really have any future first. So tanking wouldn't really do them any good. They don't have any incentive to tank. So they need to win because this was like one of their last opportunities to really get a guy.
True.
Like, via the draft, if I'm not mistaken. You got Lively coming back. They gotta win this year. They could have very easily been a play-in team this year. You got PJ Washington under a good contract, Gafford. They would have to get rid, in my opinion, they would have to get rid of too many guys to tank. I mean, you can bench them, but again, you don't have a pick, so why would you tank? They would have to get rid of too many guys. You got to get rid of Kyrie because Kyrie's not going to tank. You got to get rid of Gafford. You got to get rid of PJ Washington. You got to get rid of Najee probably. Like, you got to just totally liquidate that team. I just can't see them doing that. And, like, looking at their books in free agency, they way below the luxury tax, bro. Like, they can sign free agents. They got 2 spots open on the roster, and most of their contracts is guaranteed money. So they got avenues to being good fast. L, you froze, bro. L froze. So I'm gonna try to let them get together, but. Just looking at Dallas, I'm going to talk about Dallas a little bit, and then we'll get to the star questions. Please be sure you like, comment, subscribe. So, yeah, like, if you look at Dallas, the reason why I think they would consider potentially Herb for pick 9 and Clay is because, again, Clay is expiring, $17 million expiring. Herb is cheaper. You can shore up that perimeter because you're going to need some perimeter defense around Kyrie and Cooper Flag, and neither one are, like, great defensive players. Still got Najee making $9 million. Like Derek Lively still on a rookie scale deal. You want him to perform, or you want to, him to at least be consistent. So you can get him up out of here. I think they will consider it, bro. I really do think they will consider it. Now I'm gonna get to some of your star questions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please take a moment, hit the like button. That's Al texting me right now. I think he out for the count. For sure, no problem. Wi-Fi be tripping sometime. I had to buy a mesh system so my shit can stay consistent because my shit would be tripping too. So Louisiana gal, my home, and she say they'd like to find an avenue to get Mitchell Robinson and Robert Williams. They'd like to trade for us Duran. I'm not opposed to Mitchell Robinson or Robert Williams. The only thing I would say is that the injury concerns. Now, I do think Robert Williams could be gotten very cheaply. The Pelicans have about $12 million to spend. So I think you could get Mitchell Robinson for like 8. I'm sorry. I think you get Robert Williams for like 8. I think Mitchell Robinson going to get about 16, 18, especially if the Knicks win the ring. They might look to keep Mitchell Robinson if the Knicks win the ring, honestly. That's to say, how's that Zion Queen tandem going to work? For me, Dexter, again, I'm less focused on if the tandem works between those two, and I'm more focused on if Derek Queen is a good player. Like if Derek Queen can prove to be a real foundational future piece, then I'm less concerned about how it fits. Then I'll probably cross that bridge. But in the short term, I'm not as concerned about it, truthfully. Louisiana got say Bryson is also someone who like to get Eve for the right deal. I would probably trade Eve for pick 16. 15. If I could get Jalen Smith, see, I don't think you can get Jalen Smith and pick 15. I don't think you're gonna do that. If they'll take Eve and Herb for what's his name, Matas, I would love to do that. I'll do something like that. Then I'll just sign me a free agent center. I don't think they would do that because they don't have much of a reason to contend. But yeah, if they would take Eve and Herb for Matas, I might not even need a pick, to be honest. But if they would take Eve and Herb for Matas, I'd probably do that. I don't got no interest in Dillingham. Jalen Smith really the only guy I would have interest in. I like Josh Giddey. If they would do like Eve and Herb for Josh Giddey and pick 15, I'd probably do that. But I don't know if they'd include a pick in that scenario. Louisiana guess I don't think Zion and Trey connected just because there's an avenue where Trey can get moved just to move to the first half of the draft. That's true. But then you also may have to say, what does Zion without a running mate do for you? Like, what does Zion, not that Trey is his de facto running mate, but what does Zion and a bunch of young guys really do for you? Then I think you would have to move Zion and consider just trading all the vets, truthfully. Can Quanta say, I would think about it like this. Is it harder to find another Jalen Duren? Is it harder to find another Trey Murphy? I think it's harder to find another Trey Murphy. Like, I do. I think with Duren because we basing so much of what Duren did on the regular season, and all NBA big men do not grow on trees. They don't. I'm not trying to be dismissive of what Duren did in the regular season, but I'm thinking about it in totality, like Duren and Queen, Duren and Zion. Ew, I just don't know. I just don't know. Can Quanta say, what could they get? Well, what's that? Just slips out. What's that, a big dog? Can Quanta say, what could they get for Zion? I think you're still looking at like maybe one unprotected first and a maybe future protected first. I don't think you're getting like a early lottery pick for Zion at this point. Not right now. Mark Simon though says, what do you guys think about trading Zion Murray and Milwaukee first round pick to Boston for Jaylen Brown? Woo! Now I got to ask the same question because I'm a big Jaylen Brown supporter, but I would say Jaylen Brown, I can't stop there. That's the only thing. It's like Jaylen Brown and Trey. What does that do for me in the West? Because now I got to find somebody else. I still need a center. I still need this. I still need that. Like, I think the Pelicans are in a prime position, right? And I don't think Boston would do that for just that one first. So I'm presuming I'm adding all good, big dog, all good. It happens sometimes. My shit was tripping like that too before. What up, Pelicans? No, yeah, my shit would be tripping like that too, bro. That's why I had to buy this mesh system. My shit used to be bumped. Nando said, how do we feel about Bryce? Is he a legit rotation piece? I think Bryce, aside before the injury, ended the season on a high note. Guaranteed contract for next year. So, solid rotational guy. You know what I'm saying? Could probably be your Kenny Hustle, like a la OKC. Hopefully he has I hate to keep comparing guys to Najee, but hopefully he has like a Najee Marshall arc where he can be a consistent contributor. But I don't think 8-9 points for Bryce next year is out of the question, honestly. Hopefully that shooting continues to trend in the direction it is, because Bryce also has the physical tools you're looking for. Like, he's not stocky, but strong wing defender, rangy athlete, can finish above the rim, can get to the rim, can hit a three, can defend on the perimeter. I think Bryce will be a very solid rotational piece next year. Hopefully he stays healthy. Cole said, what y'all thinking about the coaching search? Oh, and what about Jaylen Brown? Man, hopefully we get a resolution soon. I'm not really tripping on it, honestly, because I'm like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't complain about guys getting promoted fast and all this bullshit. Like, oh, you hired his son. It's like, man, shut up. You can't complain about that. And then the same breath saying some shit about a motherfucker doing a nice, thorough coaching search and vetting every candidate. Like, come on, man. Like, pick a struggle. You got to pick a struggle. Joe, what up, Joe? He said, do you think it makes sense to sell high on Queen? The Jokic and Goons, the bonus archetype is getting exposed. Ooh. I ain't gonna lie, Joe. I kind of agree with you about that Jokic and Goons, the bonus archetype being exposed. I think those guys are best suited next to centers. I think it's too early to like consider selling high. Well, I didn't say consider, because if somebody great becomes available, you probably should trade them. But I think it's too early to consider selling high on Queen. Got to see ultimately what he can do. I do think he tops as a center. I'm sorry, as a power forward. And it's all about what ultimately becomes available. Because if Jaylen Brown becomes available, and for some reason Boston, like, we want Derrick Queen, you trade Derrick Queen, in my opinion. But you don't do it for a lateral move, I don't think. I drank brew. What up with your homie? He said, do you think can you see Giant Feds on the court together? I can see them in spurts. I see it in spurts because, man, that would be some fast, I don't say fast and reckless, but that would put a ton of pressure on the rim. Both of those guys, they've hit big threes in their career. Neither one would probably be classified as shooters, but I didn't see a world where Maxey and Edgecombe could coexist, truthfully, because I thought Edgecombe was more of an undersized two. I thought maybe he'd be a second unit guy as a rookie and then come into his own because he's such a great athlete. But Maxey is so incredible, and Edgecombe was incredible all rookie season. Man, like I think it's possible. If you're the Pelicans, bro, you got to be unconventional too, because it's New Orleans, a tough market, bro. Like you really got to be unconventional. I want to give a shout out to the Pistons, man. Shout out to the Pistons, dog. Shout out to JB Bickerstaff, man. Really, really got that team out of the dungeon that Monty Williams left them in, because clearly you see the team had talent. Clearly the talent wasn't necessarily the issue. Yeah, they were young and players take time to come to their own, but JB Bickerstaff did a hell of a job with that team. So shout out to them. Shout out to Cleveland Cavaliers for advancing, because I think Kenny Atkinson was on the hot seat. I ain't gonna lie to you. He said, how many picks? Nando, what's happening, homie? He said, how many picks y'all willing to part with for J-Dub type player? He might be the number one, and OKC got to make decisions soon for J-Dub. Maybe two first. Because J-Dub cool, but J-Dub ain't never really he ain't had like that season yet, the way he was like, yo, this is motherfucker Paul George. But J-Dub cool, in my opinion. So I would say 2 first and maybe a swap. 2 first and maybe a swap. I like J-Dub a lot. But of course, we drafted Dyson Daniels. Again, man, shout out to all y'all. I appreciate all y'all super chats, man. If you're still in the building, if you haven't hit the like button, please do me a favor, hit the like button real quick. I'm going to try to see if I can answer a couple more of y'all questions before I dip out. I appreciate y'all support on this Sunday, man. I hope y'all had a good weekend. Squallow said, I see Jaylen Brown going to the Hawks, but can't see Boston not moving him too. Well, can see Boston not moving him too. And that's the thing. Squallow, Jaylen Brown for who from the Hawks? Because if you Boston, you want Nickel, you want Dyson, you want Kuminga, you need another center. You letting Vucevic walk. They ain't really got no centers. You want a Kongwu. Like, I think the Hawks, they got salary, and I'm sure they got some picks they could potentially send out, but Jaylen Brown gonna get about 3 first. If they trade Jaylen Brown, if you're Boston, you can't trade Jaylen Brown for less than like 3 first and a budding star. Like if Jaylen Brown was traded for like Trey Murphy, Queen, and 3 firsts, you can sell that to Boston probably. Like, well, Queen is going to be the next Jokic, and Trey Murphy, he's not much worse than Jaylen Brown. He's a catch and shoot guy. We got our number one here. Like, you can sell that. You cannot sell no motherfucking Dyson Daniels and stuff to Boston. Ooh, boy, that'll be bad. Anthony, what up with your homie? He said, Chaz, what's happening with your most hated? Wait, JB was on live streaming, fuck Stephen A. Jaylen Brown be wilding out. I gotta see that clip now. Jaylen be wilding out, son. I gotta see that. Jaylen a wild dude, bro. Shout out to my dog Jaylen Brown. Shout out to Stephen A too. Anthony say, Chaz, what top 3 team could you see likely trading out to get more capital? Also, I was seeing reports of Oklahoma City Mike package a few first-round picks again to the top 10. That would be interesting because I think Oklahoma City has 2 picks in this draft, right? You probably could package both of them and maybe a future protected first to get you into the top 10. Maybe they look to go get a center if they potentially move in Hartenstein. I think OKC going to have to consolidate at some point because even if they win this season, like to me, the best case scenario for the Pelicans is that they win because maybe if they win this year, maybe they go into the next season like we don't have to get much better. We just gonna run it back again. We just gonna work around the edges. But if they lose, they're gonna be like, fuck, now we gotta go for broke to go get another guy. And who knows how that could work out. They could potentially become a dynasty, or they could potentially become, the Brooklyn Nets. It could just totally not work after that. I think the Spurs gonna have to make a decision. Too many point guards. You got to figure out what's gonna happen with Fox, Castle, and Harper because you don't want to block Harper's ascension. They're going to have to figure that out. Unless you tell Harper, look, we're going to move Devin Vassell. Harper, you're going to be our 2 guard. But what that means for Castle? Castle going to be the backup point guard. You feel me? Or Harper, you're going to be our 3. And then you got Harper, Castle, and Fox. But Harper never going to ascend to what he could be as like, 3rd perimeter player, in my opinion. Anthony saying, bro, I find a hypothetical that JB calls out SGA for flopping when he does the exact same bullshit. Oh, hypocritical. My bad. I said hypothetical. Hypocritical. I have seen Jaylen flop. Here's the thing. I think people are less upset with SGA flopping and more upset with the brand of defense OKC is allowed to play. Like, OKC can maul you defensively. But it's going to be interesting because they're going up against the league's golden child and Wemby. So it'll be interesting to see what they allow. But OKC is allowed to maul you. But if you try to play as physical as them, they're going to call a foul. So I think that's more so where the issue is with that. And Joel's too big to be flopping like that. But it is what it is. Yeah, I know the Pistons, it's tough to lose like that at home, bro. It really is. Game 7 at home, that's tough, bro. Like, shit. Then the Hornets lost Game 7 at home to the Spurs, I believe. Scholes say a lot of players in the league flop to be honest. Hell yeah. Man, I've only seen a couple dudes that just don't flop. Brandon, he flopped a little bit. Brandon don't really flop. Zion don't flop. Like, Wemby don't flop a lot to me. Not a lot. I think I ain't never really seen Tatum flop like that. I think a lot of people don't flop, but I think it's more players that don't flop versus players that do flop, in my opinion. Anthony say, Chaz, since you're an old school fan of basketball, can you explain to me the hatred from Allen Iverson fans that say Dwayne Wade was overrated and now the Hall of Famer? I think, I'm going to end on that question because that's a great question. I think people don't respect how Dwayne Wade got his championships. I think because Dwayne Wade is the original flopper. Dwayne Wade, like, kind of started flopping. And I think that's what people don't respect. Because if you go back to the Dallas Mavericks Miami Heat series, the Mavericks was busting Miami Heat ass. And then something happened with the officiating and it got real funny. I ain't gonna lie, boy. Like, if you could go back, I was a small child, but you can go back and watch like highlights of that shit. It got real funny. And I think people don't respect that because Allen Iverson, the best player Allen Iverson ever played with was Carmelo Anthony. But like, depending on how you feel about Willie Green, maybe some people say Willie Green was better than Carmelo. Who knows? I'm fucking with y'all. Of course not. But I think people don't respect that, and I think people don't respect the LeBron comparison. Like, well, not comparison. LeBron, Bosh team up. They won one of their rings in a funny way. Like Spurs choked. Like it's just this. People just hate super teams. Like it's the same thing with Kevin Durant to me. I think a few years from now, people are gonna be like, Kevin Durant was all right. He only ever won with a super team. Like that's to me gonna be the narrative a few years from now. Skolson, who I got in the West Conference Finals. Now that J-Dub back, I probably got OKC. I think the Spurs match up better with OKC than some teams. Just like people think I'm crazy. I think the Pelicans match up well with the Spurs. The Spurs match up well with OKC. Like styles make fights, in my opinion. I got OKC though. I got OKC. I think the experience is gonna be too much. Joe Dumars waiting on Coach San Antonio to get the pair. Maybe not. Maybe it's possible, but I don't think so. It's possible though. Say Wade playoff run in 06 was insane. I don't really remember it. Was that because that was after Katrina? I don't even remember much after Katrina, to be honest. I don't remember. Anthony said, Chaz, as much as I like Victor and how tall and skinny the kid is, I don't think he's gonna last long because of the pound he's gonna take down. Yeah, I hope they can find a way to minimize some of that damage, because that's the scary thing about some of like those super tall, scrawny athletes, with the exception of Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant always been really strong despite his size, is guys like Kessler, who I think is 7'2", Klingen's bigger than Wemby, but Klingen, Edie, like those freak of nature tall guys, I just don't think they really made to play 30 plus minutes a night. I think those guys are really made to play like 27 to 30 minutes, like 27, 28 minutes, because physically in the post with as much like mass, like body mass that's coming into the NBA, I think it's going to be tough. Like, I do think it's going to be tough. But Wemby's a hell of a player, and Wemby don't always play that close to the rim. So I think they're going to start using Wemby as like a power forward, honestly. One thing I think they'll end up doing, they'll probably end up getting another center, like a big-bodied center like they got with Cornette, and start playing Wemby more at the 4. And that could probably save him from a longevity standpoint. But, yo, shout out to everybody in the building, man. I appreciate all y'all support rocking with us. My dog Elvin, he has some internet issues, but again, we on Head Coach Watch. If something come up, we will be talking about it. I'm gonna try to get my boy Pistons Talk on the show soon. I'm working on another special guest for y'all, so I hope that works out. But I'm gonna try to get Pistons Talk on the show soon, so we can talk about what's next for the Detroit Pistons. Talk about a little Trey Murphy stuff. Look, if it's up to me, I'm not trading Trey Murphy unless the deal just blows me away. If it's up to me. Wouldn't trade Trey Murphy for Duran, but I ain't the GM. I'm just the Pelicans critic. But that's been today's show. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the hype button, hit the bell notification. I'm out. Much love to all y'all, man. Have a great week. Peace.